These are the 5 things that you might be doing wrong in your resume because of which your resume is not getting selected. Hey everyone, are you someone who's struggling with getting interviews in this job market? Are you also someone who is not able to get past round 1 or maybe even get rejections the day after you apply your jobs? If that's the case, then maybe there's something wrong with your resume. And in this video, we're gonna cover 4 common mistakes that I see as a hiring manager and also that I feel are not good for your resume. So let's start with number 1. Number 1, don't start with a fancy template with like your name and some kind of designs over. It's not required, right? Because unless you're applying for, let's say, a UX job or any kind of design job where you want to showcase that you know how colors work or how color palettes work and you want to show off your designing skills, in that case it's okay for you to use templates. But if you're applying for any kind of software engineering product roles or like infra roles, architect roles, any other roles which not really has a design component in it much, then I would deter away from using templates for resumes. And the reason being, from a recruiter point of view, if like place yourself in the shoes of a recruiter, right? The recruiter only has 6 seconds. Imagine there are hundreds of people applying for the job. Do you really think the recruiter will try to take or maybe spend more than 10 seconds looking at your resume? No, it's not possible. Humanly, it's not possible, right? Because you want to hire fast. You want to review as many resumes as possible. So you have very little time actually to kind of review any resume. And now, so recruiters are used to reviewing resumes in a certain way, right? Now, if you come up with like a very different template, it's actually pretty difficult for the recruiter to kind of see, okay, where is the work experience, where is the skills, and the recruiter might even just like ignore that resume because it's just too tough to read, right? So hence, number 1, please do not use any fancy templates for resume. Number 2, understand how the ATS system works. ATS system is basically an automated system that filters or pre-filters the resume before even it reaches the recruiters. Now, how does it work? So if you want to get your resume in front of the recruiter, you have to work backwards and you have to see, okay, how does the resume get into recruiter's work page or maybe in their portal? The first step is ATS screening, right? So ATS screening is an automated tool which kind of goes over the job description, goes over your resume and tries to see what is the percentage match. Maybe there's some kind of filter that people apply where if the ATS score is more than 90 or 85, then only filter out the resumes and give me the resumes where the ATS score is more than 80. I'm not sure of exactly the score, but your main challenge or your main beast here that you want to tackle is the ATS. And the way to tackle it is not again using templates. Let's think about how ATS works, right? ATS is trained on certain resume templates, and hence it knows how do you get the work experience from a resume, how do you scan the education from the resume, how do you scan the technical skills from the resume. Now, if an ATS is presented with a different template, the ATS doesn't know what's there in it, right? So it might scan incorrectly, it might not scan everything, and your resume might get rejected automatically. Hence, it is very important that you ensure that your resume template is as common as possible, because your first step is getting through the ATS door. If you are someone who really needs a template to get started with, just put down in the comment section below what questions you have about resume and I can try to answer as many questions as possible. So again, getting back to where we started. So number 1 is making sure you are not using any fancy templates. Number 2, understanding from an ATS point of view, how do you want to tackle the first step, which is like the automated screening, which is using as simple template as possible. Number 3, which is very, very important, is make your descriptions in your job, like whenever you write a work experience, in that, like, I think you write like 4 or 5 bullet points, right? Make sure you make the description as simple and as easy to read as possible. So I've been getting like resumes where I see descriptions like spearheaded ABC project that led to 40 million savings by XYZ customers. That's good. That's not great, right? Because it tells me what you've led. It doesn't tell me what that result is, right? And like an ideal description or an ideal line in the job experience would be, you spearheaded some kind of project that was tackling ABC problem and the result was PQR, which helped the user in 1, 2, 3 manner. That is how you should basically describe one bullet point in your work experience. So make sure you don't just tell about what you have done, you tell why you have done it and what's the impact of it. Again, quantifying impact is important, but make sure you can stand behind those numbers. Because if I see in your resume that you have mentioned like 40 million, I will definitely ask you, how did you get to 40 million? So please make sure that whatever numbers you put, you can actually derive it or you have evidence to kind of back that out, right? So it's important firstly to make sure the description in the bullet point is clear and concise, and also the numbers that you add to quantify your work is something that you can prove. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is keywords. It is very important for you to have keywords which are in the job description in your resume as well. I'm not saying put as is, or let's say put keywords where it's not applicable, because if as a hiring manager I see your resume with keywords which are just not related to your experience, I might think that, hey, this guy is just doing it because he wants to get in to the pool, and I might reject it. So make sure like you don't overdo your keywords, but also subtly put it, right? So go through your job description, and when I mean keywords, I mean tailor your resume very specific to the role. Because if I'm hiring for a role, I'm just not hiring for a general role, right? I need someone in my team. If I need someone in my team, I'm looking for someone who already has experience in a similar field, right? So if that doesn't fit your profile, you can either waste your time applying, getting through the rounds and eventually realizing it like you won't get selected, or 2, you can try to see if your resume or if your work experience can be tailored anyway to match the job description. If not, don't apply. Quantity doesn't matter, quality matters. I know people say apply for a lot of jobs. I would say and again, that's true because applying more can increase your probability of getting selected. But if you are short on time, if you already have a job and if you're trying to apply somewhere else, and if you're very short on time, try to make sure that you go for quality as compared to quantity. Because if you go for quantity, it's very easy to kind of like get burnt out. So in order to avoid burnout, I would say please don't go for quantity, go for quality. And the last, which is number 5, is making it more than 1 page. Please do not make this do not make your resume more than 1 page unless you are someone who's done PhD or someone with like 10 years or 15 years of experience. Like if you're a fresher, go for 1 page. If there's something that you think is overspilling, maybe you're just like writing nonsense stuff in your resume, right? So if you think you're a fresher with less than 10 years of experience, not having PhD, but still having 2 pages of resume, maybe you're just writing everything you've done ever since birth, which is not required, right? And like people, like hiring managers won't even look at it. What we want is how clear and concise you are in terms of putting yourself forward, and do you know what work experience is relevant for this job. And that is shown just in 1 page, right? 1 page is enough. Some of the tips that you can use to kind of get rid of the extra things is technical skills. Again, might be important, but not really important. If you think technical skills is overspilling in your page 2, get rid of that, right? There are some other tricks also that you can use when you're trying to cut your resume short. Another one I can think of can be education. If you have done your bachelor's and master's, don't put your bachelor's, only put your master's, because we want to know your latest your latest education, not your all your education, right? Because that doesn't really matter. If you have work experiences, if you have let's say 5 work experiences and maybe you have like a lot of bullets underneath it, I would say go in a descending order. The one which is the latest job, have around 5 bullet points. That's enough, 4 or 5 bullet points. For every other job, try to have only 2 bullet points. That way, I think your work experiences should have somewhere around 70 to 80% of your resume, the first pager. The next 20% should be education. That's it. If you have done something which is entrepreneurial, that should come first, right? So have entrepreneurial experience as first, have work experience later, and then if you have space, have education, and then if you have space, have technical skills. Certifications, it's fine if you don't mention it, because certifications, everyone knows, like there is no way to prove certifications, right? Like certification is easy. You can learn something, you can get it, but it doesn't really prove you know how to execute it. Hence, to summarize, these are the 5 things that you might be doing wrong in your resume because of which your resume is not getting selected. So starting with, just to summarize, number one, don't use fancy templates, right? Number two, think from an ATS system point of view. How do you want to get your resume out of the ATS system? By using the most simpler template. If you need that, comment down in the section below and I can give it to you. Number three, make the description as simple and as concise as possible. Number four, tailor your resume for the job you're applying for and don't have a generic resume because that will eventually hurt you. Number five is don't make it too major. Keep it restricted to one page. So yes, these are all the tips you can use in order to get your resume out of the door into the recruiter's pool and eventually getting a job. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put down in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer those. So one last thing that I ask for you, like this video so that YouTube can push this video out to more people and more people can know the resume mistakes they are doing. Subscribe if you need to know more such career tips or career advices, which will be coming out on the channel later. And number three, share this with people you think are looking out for a job. That's all. Thank you so much for watching.